Hello everyone, welcome to the Tale of Zulrah, a story from the land of Gielinor. In this series, we will be discovering different parts of Runescape's lore that are little known to some and forgotten to others. It all began a long time ago during the Dragonkin conflicts. At that time, the Dragonkin had begun to perform experiments on dragons who were bred from lizards infused with the lifeblood of Dragonkin. Their aim was to turn the tide of the war back into their favor by creating dragons possessing greater strength and aggression by injecting them with spores from certain fungi. An unknown Dragonkin traveled to the poisonous lands known as the Poisonous Waste to conduct his experiments in the toxic wasteland. He was happy since the swamp provided him with everything he needed for his creations, and he could discard whatever he didn't need and all the failed experiments back into the sludge. One day, when he was discarding a batch of Vorkath back into the swamp, he saw with great joy that one of his experiments had actually survived and was looking stronger and bigger. He could see that it was an intelligent creature. Finally, his experiments had succeeded. Every day after that, he returned to the area to observe the development of his creation. He named the creature Zulrah. The Dragonkin wanted Zulrah to serve him and destroy all who opposed him, but his greed blinded him from the reality of the situation. Zulrah had no master. The Dragonkin standing before him was nothing more than his next meal. Eventually, Zulrah consumed this would-be master. Many years later, during the Fifth Age, the Age of Humans, a family of gnomes, an old gnome lady and her two children, Harsinka and Rentos, visited the Poison Waste. During that time, a team of men, On, Moritarium, and his little son Onan and several others were being chased by the Elven clans in an attempt to escape. They ran south to the Poison Waste to get away from the elves. Lost in the Poison Waste and starving, they did not dare go north again for fear of being caught by the elves. With no food to eat, they attempted to catch fish and eels from the swamp, but to no avail. They decided to set up camp with the gnomes, even though Owen had a feeling the old gnome lady knew more about the swamp than she let on. 2 days later, there was still no luck at catching eels. The men were starving, but it was during the night that the creature struck. In the dead of night, Zulrah emerged from the swamp, lashing its tail and breathing toxic fumes and spitting venomous poison. Before the men in the camp even had the time to wake up and sound the alarm, the great serpent had already devoured 5 of them. Then it disappeared back into the swamp. Owen wanted to leave and risk the danger of running into the elf clans up north rather than being eaten by a giant snake, but the old gnome lady assured him that she had a plan that would work. Reluctantly, Owen decided to trust the old lady. The old gnome lady ordered a big campfire to be built by the edge of the swamp where the snake appeared the day before. As darkness fell, everyone gathered by the fire waiting for the snake to return, which it did. Then, to everyone's horror, the old gnome lady shouted at the snake to get its attention, and then she lifted her son up to Zulrah and offered her child to it, despite the child's crying and screaming. Zulrah took the old lady's offering and devoured the child. Then the old lady struck a deal with the monster. She promised the snake that if it let them live and didn't wipe them all out, they would bring it regular sacrifices. She even promised that they would worship the snake as their god, forsaking Siren, and they would be its people. Zulrah then retreated back into the swamp. The day after that horrible night, the men were able to catch eels finally and ate them even though they were disgusting and slimy. The crazy gnome lady declared it was a sign that the snake had accepted their offer. The village of Zul-Andra was then formed. The old gnome lady took leadership of the group and started calling herself the High Priestess of Zulrah. She made everyone in the camp change their names in order to honor Zulrah. Not long after the first sacrifice, the crazy gnome high priestess announced that it was time to make another sacrifice to Zulrah. She made a big speech about what a great honor it would be for the chosen to be sacrificed, and how their death would form part of the contract between Zulrah and the people of Zul-Andra. Most of the people started believing every word of it. One girl even started shouting, "I volunteer as tribute!" But the high priestess is the one who chooses who and when will be the next sacrifice. While reading through the different scripts from that time, it is highly implied that On became the next victim. The village continued the sadistic sacrifice through the years, with High Priestess Zul-Andra, the daughter of the gnome lady, taking the place of her mother after her mother's passing. The fanatical villagers of Zul-Andra continued to worship Zulrah as a god, giving him sacrifices at a whim. Zulrah in return allows the village of Zul-Andra to still stand. Zul-Onan still stands by the banks of the swamp where he and his father used to fish eels. People who eat the sacred eels will become one of the Zul-Andra tribe because their original families or tribes shunned them as unclean creatures, forcing them to remain in Zul-Andra and worship Zulrah, who the tribe sees as their god. Around the year 169 of the Fifth Age, an adventurer discovered the village and offered themselves as a sacrifice to save a gnome child who was going to be sacrificed to Zulrah. Ferried to Zulrah's shrine, Zulrah emerged to consume its prey, but to its surprise, it found that its offering was fighting back. Despite the use of its powers, the adventurer managed to defeat it, although it simply slithered back into the swamp to recover. Zulrah did not appear to hold the village in contempt for the offering, however. And that is the tale of how Zulrah came to be and how the village of Zul-Andra was formed. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you guys liked this video. Please leave a like and subscribe to help us get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. If you guys have any more ideas of videos like this you'd like me to make, please leave it in the comments down below. And have a great day!